Confirmation of what happened over Italy's top flight this past weekend. Udinese 1-1 with Como, which was a bit of a surprise given the hype for Cesc Fabregas's side in Udine. Meanwhile, Genoa, they lost to Napoli at the Marassi. Juventus got past Frosinone. Milan beat Torino, and Atalanta did the same against Sassuolo. One of the nice results. The biggest scorer of the weekend, of course, was Integral, which maybe came as no surprise given that they were taking on the newly promoted side at Monza 1-1 at half-time. It was a really good second half, wasn't it, from them? And you've got them looking like champions early on even. Yeah,
they're overwhelming favourites, like 50% chance to win against the entire field of Serie A. And I just thought that in the first half they had some kinks to work out. They like to get on the ball, so they like to float around. But at times when they turned the ball over, they were too spread out and too out of shape. And Monza were finding a lot of success. They made the adjustments in the second half, made some substitutions, boom, and then showed their quality with the ball. So we're actually going to take a look at some of the hold-up play. And so when you go into business, any businessman will say to you, does it make money and is it repeatable, right? And in football, it's the same thing. Does it score goals? Is it repeatable? So something that's repeatable here and scores goals is the hold-up play of these two, probably the best in Europe at the moment, Lautaro Martinez, along with Pio Esposito, the young Italian. And you'll see here, the spacing's so good, and one ball goes straight into the strikers because they've got the other team spread out so well. A little bit of hold-up play there, but watch this. Watch where he starts here. He starts there, and he gets the ball 25 yards later. And the defender can't do anything. He's just being held there. So from two passes, essentially, they're in the opponent's end. And then, obviously, the quality of Çalhanoğlu here. He's done this a lot, but unbelievable strike and unbelievable finish. But the simplicity of this, again, it's simple, it's repeatable, and it works, and it scores goals. Same exact play again. Spacing's pretty good here. They play with the wing back, so everything's here. Creates this massive gap here, and it's just like, here you go. One straight pass from Sucic into Pio Esposito. He's able to hold him, even spin him, and then from there they go on and score goals. So the simplicity and the ease of which they're scoring goals, I think is really why they're one of the favorites in it. And they can control the transitional moments, which they will be able to. I don't see another team being able to push them in a Scudetto race this season.
Mm-hmm. Also, the ability to have not only one, but two, three strikers that you can do that with.
So they got Boni.
Yeah, they've got Boni, they've got Thuram as well. It doesn't matter who plays there. Again, Lautaro Martinez is obviously strong and able, but it's not his real wheelhouse. But the ability that they have is that if one or two players are out, whether that be injury, suspension, it's just the next one up could do exactly the same thing. And I like the fact that they're using a big target man. Mm-hmm. Yes, they want to play. Everyone wants to press them. No problem. It gives you an extra dynamic. And Nigel would have done this a lot in his day. And when I started, it was a ball that used to be used a lot. Into the midfield and just spit it round the corner without even looking. And when I was learning as a young kid was, as soon as it comes into that midfielder, right, you've got to be on the move. You just pin your centre-back and it allows the game to move forward 20, 30 yards with ease.
And they've added more depth, haven't they?
That's exactly what I was about to say. They've even made some more good signings there with Jed Spence, John Stones going there as well. Some really good signings, good squad. They have a really, really good squad, Inter.
What does a good season look like for Inter, in your guys' opinion?
They win Serie A, probably Coppa Italia as well. And they go to a semi-final of Champions League.
Yeah,
that's a really good season.
That's a great season.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah. And they're very capable to do it.
You've all got them as big favourites, even against the rest of the field, right, in Serie A. Do you think, even though it's early, Grell, just looking at the squad they've got and looking at the new signings, that they have the potential to be better than they were last season?
Yeah, I think they can be better because I think they got younger and they added a lot of good players and they got rid of a lot of slack. You know, with all due respect to everything they've given to the team and to the shirt, Cherby was off the pace. He's old. Darmian, I think, was off it as well. So they've added a quality. Martinez had a couple shaky moments, the goalkeeper, so we'll see as that moves forward. But, yeah, they do have the potential to be better. And also it's year 2 of Kivu, and he's won already. So now there's less pressure. There's more, right, how can I make this project better? So I think they have the potential to be very good.
And the odds reflect that, don't they, as well? Here's just a reminder of the numbers because they are quite stark in Serie A. Inter, the heavy favourites to win at -110. The second after that is Juventus at +500 and then Napoli at +550 just behind them. How did you rate Juventus this weekend, Troy? Because they've got a bit of a new look as well to them.
Yeah, and I think if you remember, I said 90% and Grella was like, wow, that's a big one. But I think Inter have got better and the rest of the field have got worse. So that gives me more reason to believe that will happen. For Juventus to be +500, I think, personally, is wild. I really do. I haven't seen it yet. We saw the game today. I saw all of the pre-season games. I haven't seen anything that would suggest to me that they can make that leap with trying to compete on a Thursday night in the Europa League to then be the second best team in Serie A. I really don't see it. I think Como are a better place. I think Roma are in a better place. And I also think you've got the likes of Napoli and the guys who finished in those positions already before. So, yeah, I was really disappointed with Juventus. And we've had a chat in the green room as well before when since I've been here, I've heard about Spalletti ball. Spalletti ball. They keep telling me about it. And I keep saying every time my pushback is, well, what is it? Because I haven't seen it yet. And I'll wait till he has a pre-season. I've watched every pre-season game. I still haven't seen it. I watched today. I still haven't seen it. They were 1-0 up in a game that if they had 5% more energy, 5% more killer instinct of ruthlessness, they should have won 4-5-0. And I watched a game where the opposition hit the bar with a minute to go. They were giving you the last 10 minutes of this feeling of, I've seen this before with Juventus, they always draw games. So, yeah, for me, it's a little bit frustrating when you start to look at it, because I feel now that the odds for a lot of these teams is about their history, and they have been historically great. Yeah. Never put them down for that, but talking about the teams right here, right now, I don't know how they finish second. Tie
up the conversations. You and Grella just touched it. You look at Inter, strength in depth strikers-wise, right? Juventus have a strikers problem. That is the biggest problem with Juventus. They've
just spent nearly $50 million.
Yeah, and he's not a striker, and his manager already come to criticise him.
But that's who they wanted.
And so that's the crazy thing about it.
This is the same old story, isn't it, for Juventus? We want this player so much. We finally get him, and now, it's not really the right fit for us.
Troy made a great point earlier on today about Juventus and its history. And I grew up watching Juventus. I grew up watching Italian football. And I'm gonna say this without being. I'll just be disrespectful. I'll say it without being disrespectful. It's a crime that Lloyd Kelly could say one day that he wore the Juventus shirt. It's a crime that Douglas Luiz can say it. That Colt Miners can say it. Who else was there today that was just really poor? I mean, so many poor performances.
Vicario.
Who's that?
Vicario, no? Is that
Vicario, the goalkeeper. He came off with cramp today. I'm being told. Maybe I'm wrong. He came off with cramp. How does the goalkeeper get cramp?
Mm-hmm.
How does the goalkeeper get cramp? That's a serious question. The misses from Concacaf, the inability to find the final ball for Concacaf. Kolo Muani, the goal that he missed, 50 million. 50 million, the goal that he missed is crazy. The manager had to come out and destroy his striker to the media after game one, week one, after spending that kind of money. And by the way, there's no real replacement for him.
They don't have any.
You watch the way. You got Locatelli clearing balls, and I know we say it's week one, and I want to give them the benefit of the doubt because they got the 3 points, they missed a few chances. Locatelli clearing balls with 10 minutes left, like he's playing against Real Madrid in the Champions League final. They're barely hanging on for dear life against Frosinone. Is that Spalletti ball? Is that the Juventus? Every year they spend more money, and every year they get a little bit worse. And the fact that they're second in the odds table, I had them finishing third because I thought, okay, here we go. Not scary performance today. Really scary stuff today.
And I think what Grella's trying to say, I just want to tidy it up a little bit, because it's not a personal attack on these players that he's mentioned, because fair play to them. Their CV will say that they play for these teams, but when you talk to how great this football club is and the history and how big it is in world football, the level of player that plays for them, that shouldn't be allowed. Yeah. That's what he's trying to allude.
I think again,
by the way, just to move on to Milan very quickly, Nigel, we've had the same conversation, haven't we, about Milan, and that's your headline of the week.
Yeah, my headline of the week for me is Milan have an identity finally. Last year we was scratching our heads to say, what is the identity?
No, we knew what it was. It was just not good.
It wasn't great, but we didn't have
what they
were trying to do. Okay, Allegri ball. If I want to call it Allegri ball,
stay behind the ball. That's it.
But at least now we see there are patterns of play.
Now they've started a new era.
Yes, there are patterns of play. Not saying it's fixed, not saying it's going to work, but there is something there that there's a foundation that can be built on. All that's going to be determined on how good they be is maybe what players they get in, what players they get out. When that transfer window is shut and everyone knows that they're here, then we can see what this Milan side can really do. But there is an identity there where I can actually see and say this is what Milan try and do.
In your opinion, what's more important, the players that they get in or the players that they get out, if you had to pick one?
I would have to say this Milan right now, for what we've seen for years, is the players that get out. They have to clear out some players to create a different attitude and environment in this football club.
Like
to move
Leao?
forward.
Is he
Leao's probably the biggest
saying?
one. Yeah, I think Leao himself knows he needs a change of environment and needs a challenge because he's a very talented player. But you can't have him in this club now if he's not going to be part of the team. And you always know there's a likelihood he could throw his toys out the pram and make it difficult in a dressing room. We've all been in dressing rooms. We know there's one or two players who can be very negative and it can spread just like that in the dressing room to get other players on side and make it uncomfortable.
And he's really made a massive statement, hasn't he, at the beginning of the summer, suggesting that he wants to move away from the club, and now it hasn't worked out. So he puts himself in a bit of an awkward position, even though there's a new manager to either build himself back into the team and accept it, Grella, or force the move.
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about Leao for 5-6 years.
Yeah.
1 year he was the MVP of the league. We know that the ceiling is high. I mean, from a Milan perspective, I've said a couple of years ago, I just said that's time to move on, especially if you have Cisse and a young project there and you have young players and you want to set a tone. I think Troy, we spoke earlier and said, you know, you've got two options now. You either conform to the rest of the team, right, play, or you go, right? I think saying to him, hey, listen, this is your last chance, I think they've already been down that road so many times for so long. So I think that if they found the right offer for him, I think they would be happy to let him go. I just don't think maybe that's happened yet. So we'll see. He's an asset when he plays well, but he doesn't play well often.
It's also not something we haven't seen before in football. We've seen great players have to leave clubs because of managers and what they want and the environment they're trying to create. You want to look at examples? Pep Guardiola. Look at the great players he let go of at Barcelona for what he was trying to create. So we've seen it happen in football, and I think for me it's at that point with Milan now and Leao that it's time for him to move on if you want to create something new.
Luis Enrique did it.
Yeah,
Mbappe.
Very true, very true. And the other thing is Leao's had so many managers during his time at Milan, hasn't he?